wabarakatuh. Good evening. Thank you so much. Round of applause to Satish, our young director, who is emceeing. Now, literally I have to stand up because otherwise the rostrum comes up to here. My good friend, Rodora Barbran, Miss Rodora Barbran of ASEAN Secretariat, one of the, women power, she's the head of the Director of Human Development Directorate, ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community, that's the ASEAN Secretariat that deals with the third pillar that we're involved in. Then, of course, we've got with us Mr. Nur Azman, who is the Deputy Director General of ASEAN Malaysia National Secretariat. And with him, of course, we also have Daddy Faisal, who is with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, now looks after Sarawak, and thank you for being the bridge between us and the Sarawak State Government. Then, of course, we've got with us Dr. Habibah, who represents the Ministry of Education, and she is the Deputy Director General of Education. That's very important to us because we are wholly owned by the Ministry of Education. And of course, we have all our friends from various ministries, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as I mentioned, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Ministry of Education, of course. We've got both education as well as the higher education sector from the international department as well as from the Education Malaysia, right? Ladies and gentlemen, and of course, a round of applause to you all, alumni, YSS alumni. And not to mention my fellow board of directors, many are represented here. I mentioned Satish is one of our young directors. We've got Michael, another young director, and Wan Hazman, another young director. Then, of course, we have the used to be young, like Dato Mior and Dr. Sufyan. So we have a combination of young and used to be young on my board. So I'm very blessed. Round of applause for them for all their hard work. Yeah. And I must mention, because, this event would not have happened if not for the lot of help from my YSS Dream Team. They're our staff, And of course, headed by Rooney. We also have our director, who's actually online and working with us whilst he's doing his PhD, and that's Al Farid in Bristol University. He's doing his PhD. The reason I mentioned is, let me walk through with you precisely how this event has happened. We started pitching, literally pitching, for ASEAN to support us. And this was done late last year. And when we actually went through SOMET, which is the senior officials meeting in Bangkok, and at that time, the chairman of SOMET was actually Dato, Dr. Amin, the Director General, of course, of Education. So we were fortunate because with the support of Rodora, Ms. Rodora Barbran, who is of course, the director, and of course, the most important person as far as we were concerned, when we were pitching. And subsequently, we submitted our proposal. The proposal was to organize YSS ASEAN Students Volunteer Mission to Sarawak, to bring in 200 students from all over ASEAN to actually do volunteer work, to be immersed, to eat, to live, to breathe in Sarawak. And we wanted 11 locations, and these were locations we've been very, very familiar with. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you, YSS have been doing this since 2012. So when we pitched it to ASEAN Secretariat and to the ASEAN nations, to all 10 member nations, it was a given to us. It was something we were so passionate for having done it since 2012. We started with the first mission to Vietnam. We sent a very small team where we worked together with our counterpart in Vietnam. It was only 5 people at the time. 5 of us, 5 of them stayed in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh for about a couple of weeks and do volunteer work, immersing ourselves, and of course, you know, basically doing the 6 clusters that we do best. And then, of course, it moved on. We were invited by Vietnam to actually participate in their Mua He San, which is Green Summer Volunteer Campaign, for 1 whole month of doing volunteer work, and that was wonderful. And that was 2013. At the same time, we decided that we were going to be Borneo-centric. We love Borneo. We decided to actually be immersed in Sarawak, in Sabah. So we started with Sarawak. We went into Batang Lupa, into all the areas within Maludam, Beladin. And then, of course, we went to Sabao. We went to Kampung Pandan, Kampung Labang, and subsequently in Bintulu we went, and then we went to the Kapit, where all the Iban community, as that was displayed to us. So we went to Nanga Temalat, we went to Nanga Nyimo, we went to Kampung Tuno, the place that you saw us building the badminton court. We're not unfamiliar to all the parts of Sarawak. We subsequently moved out to Miri and so on and so forth. So we've literally covered Sarawak. We love Sarawak. And of course, we've decided that we also wanted to go into Sabah. And of course, we went to Sandakan, we went Kampung, Menanam, we went to Tongot, Telupit, and then we went to Beaufort, we went to Interior Division, we went to, you name it. And then of course, we've just come back from Sampurna. Yeah. We were at, various locations. And in every place that we went, we literally would move into as many locations. And it's actually immersing yourself. How do we define immersing? Being immersed means you eat, you live, you breathe with the community, and you do volunteer work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we don't do programs for the sake of doing programs. No, that's not YSS. We build volunteer leaders. And here we have with us 200 of the 1,000 plus volunteer leaders of ASEAN. Ms. Rodora and members, members of the press who are here, and as well friends. Now, when we actually build volunteer leaders, it's not easy. You can't just turn them into icons. You have to make them go through the process of actually going through the 6 clusters that we have. We have education cluster. Everyone must teach. And we have the medical and health cluster. Regardless that you're not medical students, you still have to do medical and health cluster. You make sure you work closely with the local hospitals, the clinics, and so on, to actually bring them to the community and do health screening, teach the children about hygiene and so on, and health and WHO practices. We also do community development. That's the best part. That's the part where you build schools, you're literally building badminton courts, courtyards, you're building stuff. You're building roads in Vietnam. Vietnam, they love to build roads, And if they don't build roads, they get really like, oh, I must build roads, So every student that goes to Vietnam will build roads. Yeah. They do all sorts of things. That's part of the community development. Then they teach ICT. Social entrepreneurship as well. And this is where they help communities. For instance, in Sarawak, they've got this honey, it's called Madu Kelulut. They will help market them through online, through marketing and so on. And of course, we also have, we've got this ICT social entrepreneurship, and we have crisis and disaster management. And this is where we tell, we aspire, we make sure that the communities are conversant about the do's and don'ts in the event of fires, because typically, sadly, in Sarawak, there's a lot of fires in longhouses and even floods and so on in Semenanjung. Now, in Semenanjung, that's Peninsular Malaysia, we focus on volunteer weekends with Orang Asli. These are the indigenous people of Malaysia. Now, these are the areas of focus, if you like, of emphasis for YSS. We are in Sabah and Sarawak. We are in ASEAN. We love ASEAN, and we're very ASEAN-centric. As I said, we have also moved towards not just Vietnam, subsequently to Laos. In Laos, we're literally every part of Laos, together with our Lao counterpart, Ministry of Education and Sports is our partner in Laos. We've been to Luang Prabang. In fact, I just come back from Luang Prabang. We've been to Luang Prabang twice, 2014 as well as 2018. We've also been to Savannakhet, Champasak, and of course next year, I'm told that we may be going to Attapur. So for friends who are with us, please do look out and participate. We'll be going to Attapur, particularly towards the area where the dam actually broke and there was that disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, now, we've also been in Indonesia and so on, and, this is an opportunity for the people-to-people exchange. Let me share with you, the aspiration of getting together has always been with us. Whenever we do missions is when everyone gets their hands dirty. That's when they learn what it's like to, do project management. They learn time management. They learn how to do teamwork, how to communicate, articulate, how to be with the community and to serve. Yeah, for the Indonesians, they have this phrase called mengabdikan diri kepada masyarakat. Basically, is to serve communities. So when you want to be leaders, particularly volunteer leaders, you have to learn to serve the people. Now, what do we do then? Every year, at the end of the year, we will regroup everybody for what we call Volunteer Leadership Development Program. And every year, we have different theme. Now, this year is actually towards an open and adaptive ASEAN. Over a period of the 3 days, tomorrow, for instance, we have what you call, there'll be site visits. And you'll be surprised. The site visit is actually to a zoo. It's the National Zoo. There are 3 places. One is to the zoo. The other is, of course, to the National Library. And the third one is actually to the Central Bank Museum. Now, it's, the theme for that day tomorrow is actually local resilience, innovative initiatives, and global impact. Why do we choose these 3 really diverse? It's because being volunteer leaders, you need to be as impactful as you can. And you need to have that diversity. And people do volunteer in zoos. And if you are into animals and you are save the animals and so on, that's an area you need to be visiting. Then, of course, there are areas, because for those who've been to Melbourne for the, the benchmarking trip, there are what you call library greeters. These are just volunteers who stand in front of the library, in the lobby, and actually greet people. It's not easy to greet people if you don't have the heart and being smiling, to smile and to greet everybody. So that's, learn as much as you can about being in the National Library. And of course, the same thing with the museum. This is the, the gallery as well as the Banegara Museum. So there's a lot of things that we'd like you to learn from these things. Ladies and gentlemen, then of course, in the afternoon, we will have Ms. Rodora herself to give us, to give us a talk, a speech about ASEAN. And of course, before that, we will also have Dato Denison to talk about SDG goals and so on. And it goes on towards, at night, we have speakers as well from Manila. We flew in Mr. Lim Hau Hock, who will, from Asia Development Bank, to talk about, he's with CGIF actually, to talk about real life, what it's like to lead in real life, yeah? He used to be the youngest, one of the youngest financial controller of a bank at the age of 27 years old. Now, and the next day we will have what you call One ASEAN, One Response, the ASEAN connectivity. We will line up speakers from the various disaster response and so on. So this is important aspect of ASEAN that we all need to learn, especially when we have many disasters, sadly and unfortunately. And of course, the third day, or rather the day 4, we call it, we've got the theme called Building Resilient Communities. There are many things that we've lined up, and it follows with ASEAN, or rather Alumni Strategic Retreat. Life is not just work and, hard volunteer work, but it's also fun and frolic. On Saturday and Sunday is when all our alumni who are free and who will be joining us, they will be spending time listening to the equivalent of what we call ASEAN Talk. That's the TED Talk style, where they will be talking and sharing about their activities, particularly the ASEAN alumni who've actually gone back from Sarawak and actually went back into serving the community. And that's when you see them sharing their outreach programs and so on. And we can't wait. We're excited to watch that. In between, then we will have what do you call this, the human stories, the alumni human stories, and we'll be lining up about 30 or 40 out of them to share with us, you know, all the activities that the whole of ASEAN alumni, YSS ASEAN alumni have done over the years. And we also have the best part, of course, we will end all our activities with a grand finale, which is the gala dinner. And I'm pleased to say that they're going to have a masquerade party. And I know all of you are looking forward to that one. Yes, Sarah. You know, I'm quite happy. Now, everything is all organized by the alumni, for the alumni. And, you know, coming back to this YSS ASEAN Students Volunteer Mission in July, you know, this has been funded by ASEAN plus China. So our dialogue partner, China, has come on. So that's why you will see with us not just ASEAN, but ASEAN plus China. And of course, with the support of ASEAN Secretariat, particularly Dato Lim Jok Hoi, who's not with us here today, he was here with us at the launching. So we're very pleased. The fact that the Secretary General flew in all the way to attend our launch, I mean, we were so grateful. We were so honored by his presence. And the support, of course, by the Ministry of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, this will not be the end of all, you know, missions and so on. This must be the beginning. Now, next year, we hope that, I'm putting Ms. Rodora in a spot, that we hope that this activity, this volunteer activity, this, you know, Students Volunteer Mission, YSS ASEAN Students Volunteer Mission to Sarawak will continue next year. You know, and together, of course, with the support of all our ASEAN, you know, plus China, of course, to participate for next year's mission. You know, you need to have this people-to-people exchange. Moving forward, you know, 5 years, 10 years down the road, you are the next ASEAN leaders. And it's so important to have this bonding, this people-to-people exchange, and it's very much in line with the vision of ASEAN. And I think we are so blessed, we're so honored, we're so grateful that we are being given this opportunity to play a part, a small part, into the bigger scheme of things, the ASEAN community. So on that note, from my heart, and on behalf of all my Board of Directors and Board of Trustees of Yayasan Sukarelawan Siswa, Student Volunteers Foundation Malaysia, I thank you, especially Ms. Rodora Barbaran, representing ASEAN Secretariat, and I thank our friends from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, ASEAN Malaysian National Secretariat, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and all the other entities and agencies as well who've been very supportive, who worked hard with us, but most importantly, I thank all of you, YSS ASEAN alumni, for participating and still going on strong in helping us. So thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Yang Berbagi Dato, for the wonderful speech. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen,